Albert Frith, 8th Battalion, killed in action 8th of May 1915, aged 19, commemorated on Hellas Memorial.
Joseph McDonald, 22nd Battalion, died of wounds 29th of October 1915, age 19, buried at Ari Bernu Cemetery.
Beresford Arbuckle, 12th Battalion, died of wounds 11th of June 1915, aged 23, buried at Shrapnel Valley Cemetery.
Percy Fricker, 22nd Battalion, died of illness following wounds received at Gallipoli, 16th of November 1915, aged 19, buried at Pieta Military Cemetery in Malta.
Alfred Eggledon, Wellington Mounted Rifles, killed in action on the 27th of August 1915, aged 25, commemorated on Hill 60 Memorial.
Alexander Cranston, 16th Battalion, killed in action 2nd of May 1915, aged 20, commemorated on Lone Pine Memorial.
Percival Brewer, 14th Battalion, died at sea of wounds received at Gallipoli, 12th of August 1915, age 18, commemorated on Lone Pine Memorial.
Stanley Close, 8th Battalion, died at sea of wounds received at Gallipoli, 28th of April 1915, aged 20, commemorated on Lone Pine Memorial.
John Luther, medical officer attached to 15th Battalion, died of wounds 25th of August 1915, aged 45, buried at number 2 Outpost Cemetery.
Richard Jones, Auckland Mounted Rifles, killed in action on 28th of August 1915, aged 25, commemorated on Hill 60 Memorial.
William Dugay, 3rd Battalion, died of wounds received at Gallipoli, 26th of August 1915, aged 35, buried at Cairo War Memorial Cemetery in Egypt.
John Benson, 12th Battalion, died of wounds received at Gallipoli, 3rd of September 1915, age 17, buried at Alexandria Military and War Memorial Cemetery in Egypt.
Leo Leach, 7th Battalion, died of wounds received at Lone Pine, 13th of August 1915, aged 20, buried at Alexandria Military and War Memorial Cemetery in Egypt.
John Norton, 3rd Battalion, died of disease in hospital after being wounded at Gallipoli, 18th of November 1916, aged 30, buried at Kensal Green Cemetery in England.
George Bissett, Wellington Infantry Battalion, killed in action 27th of April 1915, aged 20, commemorated on Lone Pine Memorial.
Walter Fraser, 14th Battalion, killed in action 1st of May 1915, aged 19, buried at Courtney's and Steele's Post Cemetery.
Frederick Smith, 2nd Battalion, died of wounds received at Gallipoli, 8th of May 1915, aged 21, buried at Cairo War Memorial Cemetery in Egypt. Irvine Campbell, 2nd Battalion, died at sea of wounds received at Gallipoli, 2nd of June 1915, aged 38, commemorated on Lone Pine Memorial. George Kelly, 2nd Battalion, killed in action 25th of April 1915, aged 41. Commemorated on Lone Pine Memorial.
Leslie Darrow, 3rd Auckland Regiment, killed in action, 10th of August 1915, aged 22. Commemorated on Chinook Bear Memorial.
Howard Elder, 5th Battalion, died at sea of wounds received at Gallipoli, 9th of May 1915, aged 23. Commemorated on Lone Pine Memorial.
Malcolm McLeod, 9th Battalion, died of wounds received at Gallipoli, 20th of May 1915, age 26. Buried at Alexandria Military and War Memorial Cemetery in Egypt.
Alfred Allard, 10th Battalion, killed in action, 18th of May 1915, aged 23. Buried at Beach Cemetery.
Herbert Byrne, 15th Battalion, died at sea of wounds received at Gallipoli, 6th of May 1915, aged 39. Commemorated on Lone Pine Memorial.
William Moody, 4th Waikato Mounted Rifles, killed in action, 19th of May 1915, aged 25. Buried at Walker's Ridge Cemetery.
Thomas Collins, 16th Battalion, died of wounds received at Gallipoli, 29th of May 1915, aged 25. Buried at Alexandria Military and War Memorial Cemetery in Egypt.
William Brennan, 3rd Battalion, died at sea of wounds received at Gallipoli, 24th July 1915, age 22. Commemorated on Lone Pine Memorial.
Wilfred Berry, 16th Battalion, died of wounds received at Gallipoli, 3rd of June 1915, age 30. Buried at Alexandria Military and War Memorial Cemetery in Egypt.
Ernest Edmonds, 1st Australian Divisional Signals Company, died of wounds, 8th of May 1915, aged 21. Commemorated on Hellas Memorial.
Alfred Ticklepenny, 6th Hauraki Regiment, killed in action on the 25th of April 1915, aged 21. Commemorated on Lone Pine Memorial.
Herbert Williams, 1st Battalion, killed in action, 25th of April 1915, aged 21. Commemorated on Lone Pine Memorial. Albert McGuire, 1st Battalion, died of wounds received at Gallipoli, 7th of May 1915, aged 23. Buried at Alexandria Military and War Memorial Cemetery in Egypt.
Leslie Burley, 3rd Battalion, died at sea of wounds received at Gallipoli, 20th of May 1915, age 23. Commemorated on Lone Pine Memorial.
Andrew Gillison, Australian Chaplains Department attached to 14th Battalion, died of wounds, 22nd of August 1915, aged 47. Buried at Embarkation Pier Cemetery.
Arthur Bockup, Otago Mounted Rifles, died of wounds on 10th of August 1915, aged 44. Commemorated on Lone Pine Memorial.
Percy Thompson, 11th Battalion, died at sea of wounds received at Gallipoli, 28th of April 1915, aged 29. Commemorated on Lone Pine Memorial.
Thomas Kolff, 9th Light Horse Regiment, died at sea of wounds received at Gallipoli, 14th of August 1915, age 28. Commemorated on Lone Pine Memorial.
Blair Swanell, 1st Battalion, killed in action, 25th of April 1915, aged 39, buried at Baby 700 Cemetery. Alfred Shout, 1st Battalion, died at sea of wounds received at Lone Pine, 11th of August 1915, aged 33, commemorated on Lone Pine Memorial. William Duchesnay, 1st Battalion, killed in action, 25th of April 1915, aged 20, buried at Baby 700 Cemetery.
George McNeish, Auckland Mounted Rifles, killed in action on 8th of August 1915, aged 22, commemorated on Chinook Bear Memorial.
Hector Hicks, 8th Battalion, died of wounds received at Gallipoli, 20th of August 1915, aged 18, buried at Pieta Military Cemetery in Malta.
Maxwell Davidson, 8th Battalion, died of wounds received in the Gallipoli landings, 6th of May 1915, aged 20, buried at Alexandria Military and War Memorial Cemetery in Egypt.
Sydney Cross, 7th Battalion, died at sea of wounds received at Gallipoli, 27th of April 1915, age 26, commemorated on Lone Pine Memorial.
Walter Fisher, Auckland Regiment, died of wounds on 10th of May 1915, aged 21, commemorated on Lone Pine Memorial.
Charles Lee, 12th Battalion, died at sea of wounds received at Gallipoli, 12th of August 1915, aged 20, commemorated on Lone Pine Memorial.
John Bristow, 2nd Battalion, died at sea of wounds received at Gallipoli, 30th of April 1915, aged 25, commemorated on Lone Pine Memorial.
Walter Burrows, 5th Battalion, died of wounds received at Gallipoli, 22nd of August 1915, age 18, buried at Pieta Military Cemetery in Malta.
William Woods, 1st Light Horse Regiment, died of wounds, 15th of May 1915, aged 39, commemorated on Lone Pine Memorial.
Herbert Pearce, Auckland Regiment, died in Egypt of wounds received at Gallipoli on 17th of August 1915, aged 25, buried at Alexandria Military Cemetery.
Fergus Durack, 3rd Field Company, Australian Engineers, died at sea of wounds received at Gallipoli, 24th of May 1915, aged 25, commemorated on Lone Pine Memorial.
Eugene Mahoney, 2nd Battalion, died at sea of wounds received at Gallipoli, 20th of May 1915, age 24, commemorated on Lone Pine Memorial.
Thomas Patton, 7th Battalion, died of wounds received at Gallipoli, 9th of August 1915, aged 28, buried at Pieta Military Cemetery in Malta.
Alan Huthwaite, 1st Australian Light Horse Regiment, died of wounds 5th of November 1917, aged 50, buried at Kentara War Memorial Cemetery in Egypt.
Pareha Tuati, 1st New Zealand Māori Contingent, died of wounds on the 16th of August 1915. Aged 20. Buried at Porcianos Military Cemetery.
Edward Melling, 5th Battalion. Died at sea of wounds received at Gallipoli, 8th of August 1915. Age 23. Commemorated on Lone Pine Memorial.